This is Business and Economy package to analyze the general performance of the economy via the economic policies and initiatives of the government. I am ILE EMEJE. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu just marked his 2 years in office as the president of Nigeria, having been sworn in on May 29, 2023. The president is an experienced politician and an astute administrator who worked with Mobile Producing. He also served as a senator and former governor of Lagos State. On assumption in office, the president hit the ground running by introducing his political and economic ideology through the removal of fuel subsidy, flotation of the naira, students' loan, and other economic reforms. This clearly demonstrates his capitalist system. However, while some citizens are commending his bold move, policies, and initiatives, others are indifferent. And so, in today's edition of Business and Economy, our focus is on the evaluation of the government policies and performance in the first 2 years in office and the way forward. My guest is a development analyst and a professor of criminology and sociology from the National Open University of Nigeria. Now, Professor Akoji, who is joining us after the promo to discuss the topic. Stay with us.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of ASO Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, ASO Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
So glad to have you join us in this interesting edition of your program, Business and Economy. And our guest, a development analyst and a professor of criminology and sociology from the National Open University of Nigeria, Professor Akoji Ocheja, is already here in our studio, and he will be making an analysis of government's performance in the last 2 years. Prof, you are welcome to the studio and to the program.
Thank you very much.
We're all aware that recently the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led administration just celebrated their 2 years in office. And to you, how would you assess the performance of this administration in the first 2 years in office?
Well, 2 years, just like the game of football, it's like halftime. So a team that is doing well in the first 45 minutes, which is like 2 years now, can be predicted whether they'll win the match or not, if all things are equal. In assessing an administration, in terms of the performance, care must be taken beyond the constitutional position to look at the campaign promises before election. Any government that comes into power, especially in a democracy, must have done campaigns, electoral campaigns. And in it, there are promises made to the electorate that if I come in, this and this are the things that I am going to do within the period of my tenure, say 4 years. So in an attempt to assess this present administration, care must be taken to look at or to begin that analysis with the promises made in the course of electioneering campaign. Some of these promises will look at it. One, the president promised that if voted into power, there will be job creation for the teeming youths, and not just jobs being created for them, that they are going to take decent wages. Now, if we have to take it from that particular point, you all agree with me that within these 2 years, I don't know if the Civil Service Commission, which is where the federal government gives employment through, whether they have done any major employment. I'm not asking these questions to get answers. They are rhetorical questions that will clarify issues. If the answer is in the affirmative, then we can say that the government has done well in one of the promises. And if it's negative, then we can safely conclude that much needs to be done. So in terms of job creation, so far, I don't think that this government can be properly positioned or placed as having done well in creating jobs for the teeming youth of this country. If anything, some of the policies have sent some private sector operators out of business, especially multinational companies. A lot have packed up and left this country because of policies that are not so favorable. Then in terms of decent wage, even for the existing workforce that he met on ground, yes, the minimum wage was around 33,000. Thereabout, before he came into power. And he graciously, under this administration, has moved it to 70,000 as minimum wage. That is highly, highly commendable. No government, except this his own, has increased workers' salary or wages up to about 110–120% within a short period of 2 years. So that is highly commendable. Although that is not to say that what he has done is the best that could be done by any government, because the analysis or the assessment for standard of living across the world is still, what we are getting is still less compared to what the international community accepts as the basic standard of wage for a worker. However, this that he has done is highly commendable, and he's equally poised or encouraged to do more, so that we are global citizens and should live like one, not below other people in other countries. That is one of the promises. Then beyond that, there are other campaign promises, like improvement in the basic institutions and infrastructures of the nation, like the healthcare sector, education, and all of that. For health, a lot has been done. There have been programs against tuberculosis and all of that. Series of programs have been brought to bear and implemented, and they are commendable. Then in terms of education, he has equally done well. The United Nations organization, UNESCO, position in terms of the percentage of the annual budget that should go to education is 15 to 20% of the nation's budget. Before he came to power, the budgetary allocation for education in Nigeria was around 4%. In 2024, last year, he increased it to 6%, which is highly commendable. Then in 2025, he has equally increased it to 7%. If 1% is added every year by successive governments, it means in the last 15 years, we should have met the threshold of 15% to 20%. Yeah. So within 2 years, he has added 2%. So it therefore means that if he's going to do 4 years, even if he's going at the rate at which he operates now, we are going to have 4% added within his first tenure. And if eventually he returns for the second tenure and he increases it at that same rate, it means within his tenure alone, we are going to have 8% within his 2 tenures. This is equally highly commendable. Then when you talk in terms of the Nigerian Educational Loan Funds, NEL Fund, where our students' loan fall into, recall that before he became president, the school fees have been increased by various educational institutions, especially at the tertiary level. And that informed his decision to come up with the student loan. It was not his own making that the school fees were increased. However, he thought it wise and came up with the student loan idea, where you take a loan and pay back 2 years after graduation. That too is in operation. A lot of students have been paid, which covers for their tuition, and they are on 20,000 naira living expense from the federal government. That too is highly commendable. If that is sustained, it goes to show that those who could not afford tertiary institutions can have the opportunity of going to school or furthering their education. Then within the 2 years too, in terms of education, this is the first time in over a decade, in over 10 years, that there have not been any strike. There have not been any strike in terms of educational institutions since he came into power within the 2 years. Recall too that the Buhari's administration witnessed ASUU strike, and that to a large extent made the administration to come up with the idea of no work, no pay. And lecturers were owed for like 8 months to 10 months thereabout. Now that he came to power within these 2 years, he has defrayed at least over 60% of what was owed by the preceding administration, which was not his own making, but he has paid up to 60%. 4.5 months so far, and this is highly commendable, and is encouraged to complete the payment and equally do more. In terms of a third fund, he has equally increased the budgetary allocation, the allocation for programs in tertiary institutions to a very large extent.
Okay.
And like I said, that is not to say that he has gotten to the marks. No, but there is a great improvement in terms of that. Then, still within the 2 years, it was discovered that at the educational level still, the administration under him came up with the idea of 18 years minimum before a candidate can go into tertiary institution. That didn't go well with a lot of people, especially within that range. However, in rejigging his appointment, the minister has been replaced, and the new minister has dropped that law too. Those who wrote JAM in the last JAM that were less than 18 years, initially their JAM scores were held back, but it has been released, showing or going to show that that 18 years minimum age to enter the tertiary institution has been relaxed by the new education minister, and that too is commendable. If a policy must be introduced, it should begin with those that are about to enter the primary school. So if you need 18 years, then 6 years of primary school, 6 years of secondary school, that is 12. Then, if you are looking at 18, it therefore means that no child that is less than 6 years should be made to enter primary school. You can be doing nursery, pre-nursery, and all of that until you are 6 years. That is how policies are supposed to be implemented. But he has realized that and has withdrawn that policy too. Then within the 2 years too, he has established or given approval for the establishment of 12 tertiary institutions in Nigeria, 8 universities, 2 colleges of education, 2 federal polytechnics. That too is highly commendable and a pointer to the fact that he's somebody that loves education. But again, looking at it on the other hand, for the existing educational institutions that are not fully properly funded, for you to now begin to give approval for 12 more, then it will be like establishing something that may not be completely functional at the end of the day. But the pronouncement and the desire should be followed up with budgetary allocations to take care of even the existing educational institutions and the ones that are upcoming. If that is done, then it can equally be counted as one of the good or best things that he has done within the 2 years of his administration. Then beyond that too, he promised that there will be an improvement in power generation, transmission, and distribution at affordable price. You recall that if you go through history within these 2 years, the national grid has collapsed for up to 20 times.
If not more.
This is highly devastating. Beyond that, the electricity tariff within these 2 years, it has been increased for 4 times. What is the affordability in this? And what is the improvement? There was a video by Senator Adams Oshomole where he pointed out that even when there is a breakdown of transformer, it's only either the community members contribute money to buy the transformer or maintain the transformer, or politicians are asked during campaign that their transformers are down for them to provide for them. So meaning the discos or the electricity companies that are running it are not living up to expectation. So the federal government, in an attempt to actualize that promise, should, as a matter of urgency, try as much as possible to have some monitoring over the electricity generation, distribution, and transmission, so that the price should be affordable to the common man. Then another of his campaign promise was that he was going to ensure that there will be manufacturing of goods and services inwardly or locally. That too, to a large extent, given the prices of goods and services, cannot be said to have been actualized. Because in manufacturing, you need raw materials. Yeah. And once the raw materials are gone up, and then the essence of production is equally
to reflect.
The aim is defeated at the end of the day. Then another of his campaign promise was to increase export and reduce importation, and that way to have a ripple effect of strengthening the naira.
The value of the naira.
Successive governments since democracy, this particular dispensation from 1999, when you look at the value of the naira to dollar, for example, from Obasanjo to late Yar'Adua. Yar'Adua died leaving the dollar at 128 naira
to the dollar.
To a dollar. Then President Goodluck Jonathan took over. And after his 6 years thereabout, he left it at 151 naira to a dollar. Then came President Muhammadu Buhari. And for the 8 years, he was able to maintain and leave it from 151 naira to 199 naira as at the day he handed over. What is the situation today? How strong is the naira to the dollar? Today we are talking about 1,600, 1,605, 650 in some cases to
the dollar.
The dollar. Is that strength, or this is the opposite of strength? So in other words, the policies have brought about weakness of the naira at the end of the day. Then what are we exporting? And how, to what extent has importation been discouraged? Up to now, we still import even the products that we have, the crude. And so that way, that assessment on that one has taken care of itself. Then another campaign promise was rejigging the security architecture, so that insecurity, terrorism, kidnapping, armed robbery, and all of that will be brought under control. You and I know that people only travel by road today because they cannot afford flight. For every vehicle that moves on Nigerian road today, except those that are in convoy with armed escorts, other private individuals and commercial vehicles, they travel with their heart in their mouth, with expectation of anything at any moment. Night journeys that used to be the comfort of everybody, moving from Lagos to Abuja, we even prefer to leave it at night because the weather will be
conducive,
even if the car doesn't have AC. you can still travel with the comfort and the breeze of the night. How many people would agree to enter the road at night today? The question is nobody, except it becomes
too necessary.
Too necessary. Okay, you have an interview. If you don't, you have to resume in at that other end, maybe by 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and there's just no way that you can, make it that very day then. That's the only thing that can force you into night journey. Night journeys now mostly are for trucks, lorries, people sending messages and all of that. But for passenger vehicles, the answer is no. In terms of terrorism, Boko Haram headers, they have exterminated villages, chased people away from their locations, still within the 2 years. Benue State today, we are all aware of what is happening. Farmers cannot, is it not when you are settled that you even go to the farm? Halfway into the farming season, you are made to run away from your community or lose your life. Headers, terrorists, kidnappers have become more emboldened with sophisticated weapons. In spite of the efforts of government, that cannot be said to be a good level of achievement. Government is doing much by increasing budgetary allowance or allocation for security and all of that, but much still needs to be done. Much still needs to be done. Then agricultural production. Yeah. Because of insecurity, it is even affecting the local production of our staple food products. People cannot go to the farm. No fertilizers and all of that. Then, to make matters worse, agricultural policies are from top to the bottom, rather than from the bottom to the top. If you give, for instance, tractors to somebody in Bayelsa, what is he going to need a tractor for? For somebody in Rivers, tractor. Rather, we should be talking about boats for fishing, nets, and all of that. Okay. So there are specific implements that are peculiar to different climatic conditions and zones. Nigeria is divided into different forest zones and all of that. We have the savanna, the Sahel, the swamp, and all of that. Yeah. You cannot mention a policy that will be one size fits all to all these different climates in Nigeria. Then how do you achieve that agricultural productivity that you want to achieve? Then beyond that, the people that claim to be at the forefront of collection of those farm tools and implements, are they farmers? Or they are politicians bearing the name of farmers and collecting and reselling some of these tools and implements that are meant for the poor farmers in the village. Equally, one of the promises was that he would take the vulnerable, the poor, out of poverty. So many things that were not seen as luxury before this administration came on board has become luxury and even a prayer point. Before now, when people have arguments and quarrels, the next thing you hear is, I can feed you and your family. But who can make that empty boast now? You dare not try it, because the other person will say, oh, thank you very much. See me, see my family. Just one day, it becomes. What that means is that getting even food now has become more or less like a prayer point. People go to bed empty stomach, and they are not sure of how tomorrow would look like because of insecurity vis-a-vis poor agricultural yield due to the fact that people cannot operate their farms and all of that. People are afraid to go to the farm. So many women have been raped, have been killed on the farm. So many men have their lives exterminated in the course of carrying out their agricultural practices on their farms. So there is high level of insecurity across the nation and down to the forests are taken over by bandits, by kidnappers. So it is so disgusting, and wouldn't make the administration to be scored highly in terms of security in this particular assessment or analysis. Then there was equally a promise to modernize and expand public infrastructure, like road, for instance. Yeah. Yes, the Lagos-Calabar coastal, road contract. It's something that was conceived right from 1972, when Yakubu Gowon was head of state. But no government has been able to do anything about it. But recall that by these 2 years, there was some level of commissioning. Yeah. That too is highly commendable. Remember, we are talking of 2 years. Yes. He said he will do it. He has 2 more years to do it. So if some part or portion of it can be commissioned within 2 years, it means there is high hopes, or there are hopes that within the remaining 2 years that the roads will be completed. Then look at Abuja too, in terms of modernizing and expanding public infrastructure. Nobody can take it from this government via the FCT minister. Anybody who has been out of this town in the last 3 years, if he comes in today, you need a tour guide. You miss your way. Definitely. You need somebody that will direct you or lead you. Because most of the places that there were no flyovers, they have been initiated and completed. Yeah. So many roads have been connected. People get lost now, not because the roads are not good, but because the roads are too good and so expanded and modernized that then beyond that you see the green nest that it is something that will bring about security around the bridges. It therefore means that nobody can jump from behind the net. You don't even have access to go there. So everybody is just around the road. It's either you are moving or you are waiting to pick a cab and get to where you are going. That too is highly commendable. As a matter of fact, if what is happening in Abuja, half of it can be replicated in the 36 state capitals, then this government would have scored 100% in terms of public infrastructural development. And like I said, if this is happening within 2 years, then there is still hope that in the remaining half time that so much can be done.
If this can happen within 2 years, there is still hope that before the next 2 years, we will experience more development. Be that as it may, the government is expected to increase its supervision and monitoring initiative in order to record a better result. Okay, a section of Nigeria appeared skimmed out of relevance and are calling for the replacement of the president in 2027. In your perspective, how do you think the president has demonstrated nepotism and unbalanced development that is raising the dust?
Well, on this, I will say that those who are calling for this are the real nepotic section or people in this country.
Think so?
Yes, because you cannot expect to be out of power and expect the same section to be in power. And that is even the rationality behind not should do, for instance, maybe a tenor or two, then the South can, that is the essence of the rotation.
Okay.
You cannot begin to accuse somebody of nepotism because the person or the tribe that was there before is no longer the... Okay, what do you expect? Continuation of the past administrations? That can never happen. People work for the government to come into power, and they must be compensated with appointments, contracts, and all of that. Then beyond that, the question should be the people that are coming into those appointments, are they qualified or not? What is the level of performance that they are putting up? Then don't forget that most of those appointments that people tend to talk about would have undergone some level of screening from the National Assembly.
The National Assembly, yeah.
If the president, the same person in the National Assembly, why did the National Assembly approve or assent to it? If you have screened somebody and you say the person is qualified, then what stops the president from assenting or approving that person and for the person to resume? The hallmark should be good governance, not minding who is at which appointment. So if you are pained talking about nepotism, it means you are just struggling so that your own person should come there and begin to favor you. If not, if the person that is there at present is doing the right thing, then why should you care who is there? Although this is a federal a federation and all of that, so semi-principalities, other zones, states, and all of that, units are expected to have representation. The constitutional representations from states, like every minister also from every, I think that has been met.
Okay.
There is no state that can claim that they don't have this or they don't have that according to the constitution. Even the threshold for women and all of that is equally to some extent met. So for other appointments that are discretionary to the president, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't use his discretionary power to appoint them. The thing should be the people that are there. Do they merit those positions beyond the tribe, beyond the ethnic complaints that might be there from some sections? If the answer is that they have met the qualification, then, and if they are performing well, nobody should care.
Okay, now because of our time, let me quickly ask you this question. As a professor of criminology and sociology at the National Open University of Nigeria, what is the impact of the noun in shaping and contributing the quality of education in Nigeria? Let's say for the last 2 years.
Well, there has been a very great improvement in terms of quality and even quantity.
Okay.
When you look at the National Open University of Nigeria, the mandate establishing it is to assist workers to attain higher level of education so that they can perform more skillfully, justly, and magnanimously in their place of work. There is what we call graduate tracer in the educational system. That is a way of getting response from employers of your products over time. And what the university got within these 2 years is highly encouraging in all areas of life, both in Nigeria and in abroad. Our products have made marks in the UK, in the US, and several other government and private organizations in Nigeria, and the nation can testify to that. The Open University holds ASTEL, African Center for Technology Enhanced Learning. The world is tilting towards technology in terms of teaching and learning. And the center is located in the National Open University. And that has gone a long way to help improve the level of training, both on the part of staff and on the part of students. There is no graduate of National Open University that is not well grounded in the use of computer.
Oh, that's great.
And that can never be achieved. It's something that is yet to be achieved by other universities in Nigeria. And many universities are going to get licenses to enable them operate the mode of teaching and learning of the National Open University. If it's not good, more wouldn't be advocating to do what we are doing.
All right, we are still in the spirit of the celebration of Salah. In 2 seconds, what is your wish to Nigerians as they celebrate the Salah celebration?
The Salah celebration is a period of joy to the Muslim faithfuls. So many embarked on the holy pilgrimage and about to return or thereabout, or have started returning, I wouldn't know. But some are over there praying for the betterment of themselves, their family, and the nation at large.
Okay.
So it is a period of celebration, and I wish them a very wonderful Salah celebration.
All right, thank you so much. And with that, we have come to the end of today's edition of your program, Business and Economy. The person we have been speaking with, our guest, is also a stakeholder in the education sector and is a professor of criminology and sociology at the National Open University of Nigeria. Our guest has been Professor Akoji Ocheja. Prof, we want to thank you for finding time to be on today's edition of the program.
It's my pleasure.
All right, thank you. And to you out there, our esteemed audience, we sincerely appreciate your time with us on this edition. Enjoy the rest of our programming. I am ILE EMEJE.